Well, moving on to our next session, everybody. This is led by Scott-Goh Davis, APAC Head, Solutions Engineering, Atlassian, joining us here today. Everybody, let's welcome him with a round of applause. He's going to take us through the session. Learn how Afterpay successfully moved to Atlassian Cloud in record time and with immediate results for the entire organization. The stage is all yours. Over to you.
Thank you. And can everyone hear me all right? Yeah, I can hear myself as well. Perfect. Excellent. All right. Welcome, everyone. I have the privilege of representing today one of the many organizations that are really being referred to in terms of some of the conversations that we've already heard. I have been with Atlassian for 6 years with the purview that was just mentioned. And as part of that, the APAC region for Atlassian encompasses Australia to Japan to India. And with that and 6 years of background, I can tell you definitively that this is the only time that I ever get to see cool stages like this set up. I mean, the production quality that you put into your events here in India is like far and above what I see in many other parts of the region. So take that for what it's worth. I feel like I'm on a TV show when I'm up here. Great. All right. For those who aren't as familiar potentially with Atlassian, top line, because we don't want to turn this into a sales pitch, but like where do we slate into things? How do we do some of the things that I alluded to previously? Well, when you look at our number of different products and solutions, managing, coordinating, collaborating different activities between different teams, really our top-line mission is to unleash the full potential of every team that's out there. And that can be teams that are small, 10-person startups to tens of thousands of users who, quite seriously, do interesting things like cure diseases or launch spaceships. You know, it's really interesting, some of the work that, of course, we don't take credit for that achievement, but we help them coordinate very complex initiatives to make those things happen, to make teams work together seamlessly, to operate better. And we do that, of course, first and foremost, in the cloud. Those customers along the way of ours, quite often, if they're digital first or digital natives or cloud first, they'll start off in the cloud, but we have been around for over 20 years. We also have a number of organizations that have, whereas they started on-prem, are just now looking at moving into the cloud as part of that. And that includes Afterpay, the one example that I want to go through here as well. Lots of active users, lots of customers, and these stats are growing every single quarter as we put information out there. But who are Afterpay? Has anyone heard of Afterpay before? They've since been acquired since these slides were originally printed. And I suspected many of you here may not be familiar with them, which is why I want to put up some key stats around them. They fall into the buy now, pay later space. They are meant to be, for the millennial market, kind of an alternative to credit cards versus charging something up on an unsecured line of credit, being able to rock up, make a purchase, divide it out into perhaps 4 equal payments. And there are a number of mechanisms around that. They operate primarily in Australia, New Zealand, the US, the UK. They had, at the time that this slide was made, it's gone up from there, they had about a $20 billion market cap. They were based in Melbourne, where I am also out of, and they were founded in 2015, so lots of parallels to our own company in terms of the rate at which they scaled things up. They had, with that background, a decent amount of products that they were using to manage their work, but with our on-prem version of the product. And they were able to move from that behind the firewall installation into our cloud environment in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And if you think of what's involved in flipping a multi-thousand user organization to move from one architecture to another, to do that seamlessly and to gain improvements without having anything fall through the gaps, without having any complaints, but much rather having a resounding success, there were a lot of lessons to be learned in terms of their approach in particular. So Afterpay is the one that I want to talk to specifically. They managed to migrate the core system where they kept things up and running, core system for the business where they kept things up and running for supporting over 10 million at that point in time of their users along the way. And this is the synopsis of the timeline that they looked to actually do that. They were looking in early March, kind of toying with the idea. They engaged a partner. They hit sudden pains, as many of us did, with COVID-forced pressures, working from home, VPN infrastructure broke down. We actually saw this as well. On one day, as many of us encountered, we sent home all of our employees, and then all of a sudden, half of us couldn't get work done because VPN just kind of fell over. It was never designed to scale to that level. And then they decided, right, a couple days later, we need to migrate. 2 weeks later, done. Interesting to see that play out. Interesting, a lot of parallels with our own pain points that we encountered. And whenever I see an accelerated timeline like this, two primary things come to mind in terms of core success. One, they made sure that they had on every single status call the key decision makers, the people who could actually make things move from their organization, who could make trade-offs and decisions and own cost and so on that call to make decisions each and every time. And two, they chose a certified partner with expertise in migrating. Partners are a core ingredient, and we're here with one of our partners today out in the hall to make sure that these migrations move with as little pain as possible. At the end of the day, is a migration, things will break. But once they moved to that environment, one of the very first things that happened that actually their CIO told me was they flipped the switch. They didn't even tell everybody that the system had been launched, so it was kind of in a soft launch mode. And given the demographic of their executive staff, who were a little bit on the younger side, they already had figured it out, downloaded applications for their mobile, and started working off of it straight away. They were like, this is awesome. The CIO, instead of getting complaints on how things were broken, was getting, I can just do my work from home. I don't have to go to my laptop. I don't have to worry about VPN. I can just do what I need to do when I'm on the road. I can work anytime, anywhere, using the apps that are already out there, based on the fact that we moved to this new implementation. And then their development teams were able to take advantage of additional features they had never seen before, additional types of automation to further reduce time to market for new features they were working on, to more tightly bind together many of the solutions that they were already using. To have in line not only just access to key data and analytics and metrics, but have it show in line to minimize context switching. I could see relevant data that was pushed to me right in the interface that I was working in as a developer, as a tester, as a product owner, as an executive. Having a lot of insight that was pretty much being spoon-fed to them now that they were in this new platform as part of that. And also being able to take advantage of, as you would expect in a rapidly changing cloud environment, new features the moment they launch versus waiting for an upgrade or a patch. It's there in their system to do things like Atlas, which is for status reporting, rather than having to go through a lot of hoops in order to take advantage of that. Those new features are available for them straight away. In essence, what it allowed them to do is a lot of what I've heard some of the panelists talk about already. When you're managing similar systems on-prem, whether or not you realize it, because it's probably somebody tucked away in IT that's dealing with all this activity, right? Keeping the lights on, doing server implementations, patches, and upgrades, and making sure that that is constantly done. When you move to the cloud successfully, that means we take on that burden for you, we put it into our design, and we allow your organization to then focus on things that actually add value to the business versus keeping lights on. You can refocus those resources and let us worry about managing and maintaining all that activity going forward. This is what allowed Afterpay in particular, and I'm reading here a couple of quotes from their executive staff. By moving to Atlassian Cloud, we have freed up time to focus on what's truly important for the organization, again, versus just keeping the lights on. And probably the biggest thing, and again, this came from their executive staff, he said, given that they saw the value without even being told things had officially been switched over, was just, we can work wherever we want, whenever we want, however we want, from pretty much any device. They were not only able to see that without being informed, but use it in ways that they hadn't even anticipated, and therefore become much more engaged instead of being detached from systems that previously had been viewed as just meant for IT or meant for engineering. They were actually able to get a bit more closer to that and become a bit more interactive with all those systems along the way. And that's Afterpay. Again, reflecting back on it, the two biggest things were having the right stakeholders on each and every checkpoint, having a partner involved as part of that, and not being afraid to lean in, to make compromises, to work with us and our resources that we provide to well and truly get them across the line. And we have a number of different additive services to ensure that happens. This is a core focus for Atlassian as an organization, is moving all of our customers into that cloud environment. We've been doing it for the last few years, and we'll continue doing it for a couple of years yet to come. That's it. I think I ran a couple of minutes early, but hopefully I can give you back some time for other sessions. Thank you for listening, and if you want to learn more, we're just outside in the hallway here. Thank you.